Sometimes the simplest recipes are the most delicious, aren't they? Today's recipe for Pouding Chomeur is a French-Canadian classic. Pouding Chomeur translates to unemployed man's pudding, or pudding of the poor. This rustic maple caramel cake can be traced back to the Great Depression era, when ingredients such as butter, sugar, eggs, and flour were expensive and scarce. But in rural Quebec, where many families had a ready supply of maple syrup, as long as you had a bit of flour and some maple syrup in the cupboard, you could whip up a delicious dessert for your family. Let's get baking. First, preheat your oven to 325 Fahrenheit. Now let's start on the maple sauce. Measure 1 cup of brown sugar and 1 cup of maple syrup into a heavy-bottomed saucepan. I prefer the intense maple flavor of dark maple syrup, so if you can find it, I would recommend you give it a try. Otherwise, if all you can find is the lighter amber variety, this recipe will be perfectly delicious just the same. Stir the brown sugar and maple syrup together and add 3/4 of a cup of boiling water. Heat the pot over medium heat and stir until the sugar is dissolved and the mixture just starts to come to a simmer. Turn off the heat and add 1/4 of a cup of butter to the pot. Later on, we will be enriching this sauce just a little bit more with a splash of heavy cream. But first, we're going to let this cool down and begin working on the cake batter. For the cake, you will need flour, baking powder, salt, 2 eggs, white sugar, vegetable oil, vanilla, and milk. I will list all the ingredients and the exact measurements in the description. Sift together 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. Set this aside. Break 2 eggs into a bowl, whisk in ½ cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and 1/3 of the milk. Now whisk in the dry ingredients, add the rest of the milk, and whisk the batter until smooth. Spread the batter into an 8 by 8 inch baking dish. You don't have to butter the dish first. Back to the maple sauce that you have cooking on the stove top, pour in 1/4 cup of heavy cream and give the sauce a stir. Carefully pour the sauce slowly over the batter, trying not to disturb the batter too much. You can also do this with a ladle or a large spoon, but I tend to just pour it directly from the pot. And don't worry if the batter does get messed up a little. I promise you this will all work itself out in the oven. Carefully slide the pan into the preheated oven and let this bake for 35 to 45 minutes. I start checking the cake for doneness at 35 minutes because my oven tends to run quite hot. See how the cake has magically risen to the top while the maple sauce is now bubbling away underneath the cake? Stick a toothpick into the cake and make sure the batter has fully baked through. Pull the pan out of the oven and let the cake cool for 10 to 15 minutes. To serve, scoop pieces of the warm cake onto a plate and spoon a generous amount of the maple sauce over the cake. Top with some loosely whipped cream. A scoop of vanilla ice cream is also wonderful with this as well. I can't wait to dig in. That is so good. I really need to make a cup of tea to go with this. The cake is so soft and warm, and the maple sauce is so sweet and buttery. The edges of the cake have now become caramelized as the sauce bubbled away during the baking process, and the maple flavor has become even more concentrated and intense. It's quite a special dessert, especially when you consider that it was born out of a time of scarcity. This cake is best served warm. If you do happen to have any leftovers, it will reheat beautifully in a low oven. I should mention that while this dessert is traditionally baked in one pan, you can also bake individual servings by dividing the batter and sauce among 6 dessert ramekins. Place the filled ramekins on a baking sheet and bake for about 20 to 25 minutes before checking for doneness. Then you can serve your guests or family their own little individual cake with a small scoop of ice cream or some whipped cream on top. I hope you enjoy this French-Canadian classic. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.